Welcome everybody, my name's Ben Lowry and we're here on the call today with Jada Castellari. How you doing, Jada?
Yeah, very well, Ben. Thanks, and you?
Right, we've never done an interview before where we've specifically talked about psychology and mindset. Most of the stuff we've talked about has been practical things like how many reps and how many sets and different exercises and nutrition and things like that. But the psychology is really important, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the psychology is everything really. There's one thing I explain to all of my students, and that is how, as humans, we actually get what we want. And there's a lot of misunderstanding out there of how simple things are. And what I basically explain to them is that people very often are very busy running around trying to do things so that they can have certain things. So most people want to be rich, so they start trying to do certain things that rich people do, what they think they do, like get a nice car, get a nice house, work harder, etc. Blah 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 blah, and very few people actually end up having what they want. And it's simply because they've missed out the most important part of the equation, and that's all about beingness. Who you're being in the moment determines how you do something, and also what you do, which determines what you have ultimately. So, for example, most people that go to the gym never end up having the body that they want. And that's simply because they're remaining or being the same person trying to do what they think they need to do from that state of being to try and have what they want to have, but they never get there because they don't work on the beingness, who you're being in the moment, which is all about psychology and changing the way you think and the way you feel.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean because I've learned about this before. They're doing be, do, have instead of have, do, be. No, no, hang on. I said it the wrong way
Basically,
round.
yeah, they're not focusing at all on beingness.
Right.
They're just focusing on what they think they have to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I said it backwards, didn't I? What did I mean?
Yeah. The correct formula for getting what you want, really, basically, is be, do, have.
Yeah.
Who you focus on, who you're being, focus on your state. Who you're being in the moment determines how and what you do, which will then determine what you have.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean because what I noticed is when I watch videos of my heroes on YouTube, like Mike O'Hearn or something, or Cali Muscle or whoever, they're not just Mike O'Hearn isn't just doing weightlifting. He's not just doing body, like he is a weightlifter. He is a powerlifter. It's his identity, isn't it? It's not just an action he does like a hobby.
Yeah, because I mean, there's many different levels, which I'm sure we're going to get into in a bit more detail, of beingness and how to kind of like manipulate your thoughts and emotions so that you can actually be the person you need to be in order to have what you want. Because I think it's also quite ironic that the word behave, our behaviors, has the words be and have. Who you're being determines what you have, which is the way you behave.
Interesting. Now, I want to pick up just where you're going, but I kind of just want to introduce you to people. So, like, you referred yourself as a body transformation coach. Is that right?
Yeah. Basically, I steer clear of the personal trainer label.
Why is that?
Because I don't really kind of associate myself with normal personal trainers, not because I don't think there's anything wrong with them in themselves, but what I do is very different. I specialize in the whole transformation, the whole physical transformation, which includes a mental and an emotional and a psychological transformation. You simply cannot transform your body to a high degree without becoming a very different person.
Yeah, I'm with you. Could you give us an example? So say a client, maybe you give us a real example of someone you work with, or just a hypothetical. Say I came to you and I wanted to transform my body and I'm out of shape, I want to lose some body fat, get some muscle definition. So what's the first line of inquiry that you're going to start with me then?
Well, everybody is different, and they're different in their genetic makeup and their body types and how they should be trained. They're different on what they need to work on to begin with and to what degree. So everything's personally tailored. But when it comes to like psychology, it's the same for every person, and that's I start with the desire that they have, and I start with their beliefs. For example, if someone's contacted me and they're interested in going for a transformation, then I know that they have the desire. Okay, they have the motivation to actually to go through this, but my job is to actually increase that desire so that it becomes a burning passion.
Oh, right.
Okay, that then gives you like the fuel and the drive to follow through and learn how to eat right for your body. Make sure that you're kind of like tuning in and eating at the right times what you should be eating. Make sure that you're not burning yourself out and getting too stressed and partying too hard on weekends, so that you're making sure that you're disciplined in the areas of rest and recovery. When you're at the gym with me, I can keep your training on track. But keeping your desire high means that when you're outside the gym, you're going to end up following through and being the person you need to be in order to have that transformation.
Oh, I see what you mean. So are you saying that the average normal person, their desire to achieve the outcome isn't intense enough? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it's obviously there. That's why they've come to me. And like I said, everybody's different. Some people, they need very little work on it. Other people, I continuously work on their desire. So give them motivation.
Right. So by amping it up, so the more intense their desire is, the more likely they're going to stick to the actions that are going to get them the result. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah. Exactly, exactly. Think of desire as like your engine, your motivating force, your power. So this is why belief comes into it too. Because if you've got a lot of desire, you really, really want something. Okay, your
Mm.
desire is high, but unconsciously you've got negative beliefs that are blocking you. It doesn't matter how much desire you have, or in the end of the day, we're going to act in accordance to what we believe. So if we don't
Ah.
really believe you can get big naturally, you're going to self-fulfill that prophecy. So it's very important that you work on your beliefs as
Yeah.
well as your desires. So there's two fundamental things. Imagine somebody that has got an interest in transforming their body. After a couple of weeks of training with me, I've worked on linking their motivators with other areas of their life. So therefore, having a better looking body means that they're going to be more successful in their business. Well, if they're a business orientated person, then that's going to be a big motivator. Then if they actually notice that they're feeling more positive about their business because of the training, then that desire becomes conditioned into them. You see, it's all very well using mental techniques and tricks to kind of like reprogram your mind, as it were. But what really changes our behaviors is conditioning.
Right. Yeah, I see what you mean. Hang on, hold on a second. The more, so if you link up in somebody's mind that transforming their body and their health is not only going to be good for their body, but it's also going to benefit all the other areas of their life, like
Yeah.
their business, their relationship,
Yeah.
then that compounds
Yes.
the intensity of,
Yes.
yeah, the
Yeah, because
belief.
what you're actually doing with people in basic terms is you're helping build the dream life.
Mm.
So there's no point gaining a great looking body and all that health and energy and vitality if you're poor and you can't afford to live like that, or your social life or family life or relationship life is crap. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're going to start changing your life and start living the dream and building that dream life, all the areas fit together and they all complement each other.
Yeah, because it's all interconnected, isn't it? You can't, every area of our life is affecting every other area. You can't just work on one thing without it impacting every other area. And that goes for positive and negative, doesn't it? It's like you can't eat shit and get out of shape and be fat without that having a knock-on effect on your relationships and everything else.
Yeah. So what you're basically doing when you go through a physical transformation is you're working on the most fundamental foundation of living an effective life.
Hmm.
You've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
This is the study of certain areas of life that must be in place before the other areas of life can actually be built on top of,
Hmm.
all leading to self-actualization and a very contributing, productive life. Well,
Hmm.
right at the bottom of that hierarchy of human needs is the physical.
Yeah.
So that's the foundation to a successful life, literally. So when you go back to working on your foundation for a successful life and you improve your energy, you improve your health, you improve your vitality, that then automatically improves your moods, improves your hormone balance. So then that just completely ricochets and completely comes out to other areas of your life. It's unavoidable that if you raise the vibration of your body, if you increase all of those things, that it's going to affect everything else positively.
Yeah. 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 Um, just on the belief, so you're saying there's these dual things that are both really important. There's the desire to make the change, and there's the belief that you can believe it happen. Now, people have got fucked up beliefs. Like a lot of people have got really conflicted beliefs, haven't they? Like, Some people think
Yeah.
if you're too old, you can't change your body, or if you're too
Uh-huh.
old, then your hormones aren't going to be sufficient
Uh-huh.
to make a change. It's like crazy. If people shoot themselves in the foot before they even do anything.
Which is why it's so important to spend time with students and kind of find out where they're at, because beliefs do change, and I work on obviously improving them and aligning them with their desire, and kind of digging up those limiting beliefs. Like another one is genetics. Now,
Mm,
obviously, genetics do play a huge role in every physical aspect of what you do. But even if you've got what's quote unquote bad genetics, it doesn't mean you still can't transform your body. It just means that you've not got the genetics of Mr. Olympia.
yeah. I just thought of an example. I used to go to this gym in Bedminster, and I remember this guy I used to work out with, and he was always moaning and always down on himself, and he was saying, "Oh, I need to get rid of a bit of body fat now before I get too old, because otherwise it'll be too late and I won't be able to shift it." And I'm thinking, fucking hell.
Yeah, this is what people do all the time. It's very important, like when dealing with students, is to really listen out for their declarations of truth for what, and that just gives a big signpost as to exactly what they believe in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like that guy was a perfect example.
Give us some examples of people you've worked with without naming their names necessarily, but what are the type of limiting beliefs that you come across?
I mean, the common ones are not really believing that you can look really good naturally.
Mm,
I mean, that's a really big one. It's a real shame that there's this kind of like huge negative belief out there in the training industry, well, in general, and that's people just don't believe that you can look good naturally, which is absolutely crazy when you actually start looking at natural bodybuilders today.
mm.
I mean, where we've come with the science of understanding of training and how it all fits together, the science of nutrition and what's available supplementation wise now compared to 50 years ago is mind-boggling.
Right,
But
right.
that's a big one. The other one is genetics. People kind of wanting to know where they can actually go, what is achievable.
Yeah,
Um, Let me have a little think. I'll tell you another one is actually being able to fit it in with their week.
right.
People some just before they even begin, they go, well, I can't look like that because I can't put the time in, and not necessarily even at the gym. They might say, oh, I can train for 4 hours a week or 5 hours a week or 3 hours a week, but I haven't got time to prepare my food or pay attention to my diet.
Yeah, I
So
see.
it affects all areas. I mean, one of the easiest things to do, which I work on with all students as well, is their self-image.
What do you mean?
Well, everybody has an internal self-image for all areas of their life. For instance, you have an internal self-image of who Ben Lowry is when it comes to interacting with women.
Hmm.
You have an internal self-image of who Ben Lowry is when it comes to business.
Yeah.
Okay, and you do when it comes to training. So if people start viewing themselves as more of an athlete and more of a bodybuilder while they're working with me, then it kind of speeds things up, because
Right.
deep down when they go shopping for their food, they go, well, I'm not Mr. Smith trying to get into shape. I'm Mr. Smith who is becoming an athlete, who is becoming a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
That's what I am now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then all the other beliefs are kind of attached to that.
Yeah. When you shift the way you view yourself, all the actions follow, don't they? They follow in
Yeah.
line in line with your identity, like what we started saying right at the start.
Which comes back to beingness.
Yeah. Yeah. See, this is why, obviously I'm a big fan of Mike O'Hearn, but I just love his mindset. I love his, because he's got such a high standard for his identity. He views himself as a superhero, Superman. Like, I remember I was reading an interview, and he said when he was young, he started powerlifting at age 11, and he said he never used to read bodybuilding magazines or anything like that. He used to read comics. He wanted to be a superhero, and his physique
Yeah.
reflects that because he just views himself
Uh-huh.
as superhuman.
Uh-huh. There's nothing more empowering than training with or spending time with somebody that has a powerful mind.
Mm.
And by a powerful mind, it means that they have a strong will, they have a strong belief, and a strong rooted knowing in themselves that they can kind of do things way beyond what a normal human would cap off.
Yeah.
And this is why, again, what I do with my students is when they get to a weight that they'd never lifted before, very often they break through their barriers and they go, wow, I never dreamed of lifting that weight. And I will turn around and say, yeah, that's really good. Congratulate yourself, condition yourself, and feel that success that you've had. But what I want you to think about now is where you're going to be in 6 months' time with your weight.
Yeah.
So you might be on 30 kilo dumbbells now, but let's aim for 50 kilo dumbbells. And what that does in their mind, it raises the benchmark. So if someone gets to their weight and they go, oh wow, I'm at my heaviest weight, then it's kind of like limiting themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas if they get to a new weight, go, well, I got to a new weight, but this is where I'm still going.
Yeah.
It's a completely different feel.
I see. Yeah, you got to be looking ahead to the next level all the time, rather
To the
than
next level. So someone like Mike O'Hearn, his perceptions. I think you were saying the other day of his early training experience was training in a gym with some of the biggest and strongest people around in America at that time. So he was looking at guys squatting 250 kilos upwards, deadlifting 250 kilos upwards, benching on for a couple of hundred kilos. So he was around people that were the strongest around in the country at the time. So his perception of what was heavy was way, 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 way above that of a normal person.
Yeah.
So you could say that his beliefs were altered.
Yeah.
You could say that his beliefs of what heavy is were altered, which then caused him to aim much higher.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what I noticed, right? Sat in the sauna at the gym, the different conversation that goes on between the people that are at different levels with their physique. The massive, strong, buff guys, with loads of muscle. There's an entirely different attitude that they've got from just the people that are casually there just because their doctor told them to do some exercise or something. They don't really want to be there, kind of thing. Like the big buff strong guys are just really intense, talking about the weights, talking about the training. The other people that are not really serious about it, they're talking about the bus journey, what was on telly last night, some fight they got in at the weekend.
It's because the guy there, the big guy that's already looking good, has got the results. He's already, whether he's done it consciously or unconsciously, it has actually changed who he's being. So he's reaping the rewards now of being that type of person. Whereas the other people are still stuck in their old identity. They're still stuck in being them old selves, trying to do from that perspective of beingness. So they don't get the rewards. So it's not exciting to them anymore. The passion's gone. The desire's gone.
Yeah.
Which is again why you must keep going back to increasing your desire, finding out what your motivators are, finding out what your values are, linking them together. Keeping that drive going, and then working on your own beliefs of what's possible for you. Now, it's like I say to people, no one ever won a race without believing they could.
Yeah, the belief's got to be there. Did you want to add to that?
I did, but I completely forgot what I was going to say, so you can edit that bit out.
I've been in the gym with you, and we don't just we don't just do the weightlifting. You also do a lot of psychology. You make, I've been in there with you and Joe and Chloe as well, and you make us get in state, and you make us walk around and things like that, and get psyched up. Just give us a little bit of explanation as the importance of that.
Well, like we're saying, the state of being is who you're being in the moment. And for anybody that's not quite 100% certain on what a state is, your state of being is where you are mentally, emotionally, and physically at any one moment in time. So, for example, the state that I teach my students to start to cultivate is when they're about to do a heavy lift or do some serious training, is the state of self-belief and determination and power. So when you're in a state where you're feeling really powerful, and you're really determined, and you really believe that you can lift the weight you're about to lift, that's the perfect state for training.
Mm.
And like I explained to everybody, whatever state you get into, you can increase the intensity of that state. So, for example, you can be happy, or you can be really happy, or you can be mega happy.
Mm.
So whatever state you learn to get into, you can learn to amplify that and increase that. So if you've experienced states where you feel powerful and determined, then you can actually increase that state and feel really fucking powerful, really fucking determined. And then what you do from that state will actually be a representation of who you're being in that moment.
So you can get people to draw from other experiences they've had where they feel powerful, etc., and bring that into the lift they're about to do. Can you?
Yeah, it's many techniques to changing your state and to teaching people to cultivate this kind of beingness of who they need to be. And like I said, it's all dependent on the individual. Like some people, they have a background where it's very easy for them to draw on events where they've had to be really determined, competitive, and full of power.
Mm.
For other people, sometimes they've never even experienced states like that at all.
Yeah.
So then it can be a bit harder to try and induce into somebody or try and teach them to be a certain way if they've never been anything like that before in the past.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, yeah. Um, Something else I was thinking of. I was chatting to someone the other day, and they were saying about how a lot of people get into weightlifting and exercise because they had some kind of like traumatic, negative experience in their life,
Mm.
and they need it's almost like therapeutic. They needed something to focus on or something to feel good about themselves and just improve the way they were feeling. And there's like in life there's desperation and inspiration, isn't there? Sometimes it's a
Yeah,
combination of the two that can motivate you to
yeah,
do something. And I relate to that. There's been times where it's been slightly more desperation that's making me do something, and then there's other times where it's more inspiration. But what have you got to say about that? Has that played a part with what you've done?
yeah. I mean, this just goes back to like internal motivators, why people come to me in the first place. And I've gone through my own evolution of motivators. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Early on in my training career, I was driven by what would be termed negative energy, I guess, to turn it around and put it into my training.
Yeah. Okay.
And as the years have gone on, and especially in recent years, that's all. Anything that was negative in my past has kind of dissolved and melted away. So
Yeah.
it's like I have to find new motivators now. I've got no issues with trying to be big for the sake of protecting myself.
Yeah.
Which years ago that was part of a motivator for training and for being big.
Are you saying that's no longer such a factor?
It's no longer a factor at all, really,
Right.
because what that led me to a few years ago is almost like a drop in my training, and it's almost thinking, well, what am I doing this for? Yeah, I like training, yeah, I like being healthy, but where's my real passion gone to take it back up to that next level?
I see.
And I had to dig deep within myself and realize, wow, I was training before because I had this anger inside me. I had this frustration inside, and that's kind of melted away. Now I have to link in different motivators.
Right.
And it's like you said, it's the desperation or inspiration. So it's like originally some of my negative training motivators were out of desperation.
Yeah, yeah, I can relate to that. I think I'm similar, even though I haven't been weightlifting anywhere near as long as you have. I think I started off on I wasn't very happy and I was kind of frustrated, and it was, it just made me feel better to go to the gym and lift weights. It was just therapeutic. And then
Yeah.
over time, as I got into it and started developing an identity around that, I let go of those original negative things, and it's become just more of a positive, forward looking thing in my life now. So it's a similar, parallel with me.
Yeah, I mean, really, what I found is it comes down to something very basic, and that is self-love.
What do you mean?
Okay, if you start training and your motivators are turning the negative into positive, that is absolutely brilliant.
Mm,
That's what I did early on in my career. Um, but that's not really driven by self-love. That's kind of driven by desperation and frustration. So you put that negativity into your training, which you do turn a negative into a positive. But like I said, when you address those issues within yourself and they dissolve away and you get over them, the new motivators then are far more positive. So it's going to make your life better in all areas. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to improve. to actually move in that direction of positivity, you actually have to have deep self-love for yourself.
Yeah, what do you mean? Just expand on what you mean a little bit.
Many people are kind of brought up, whether they realize it or not, in a world where they're kind of taught it's wrong to think of themselves and look after themselves to a high degree. You look at most people's lives, you look how they eat, you look how they live. They're clearly not loving themselves.
Yeah.
They're not putting themselves. Then you look in contrast. You look at, say, someone like Mike O'Hearn. Now he's living a beautiful life. He's living a dream life. He certainly has no issues with self-love. So what I've seen a lot of big guys which are training with the motivators, which have been negative, which get them big and put the energy into their training, but then they get to a stage where they haven't addressed their self-love issues. Yeah. So instead of like turning their training then into even more of a positive and reflecting outward into other areas of their lives, they can be stuck in the negative training motivators, and it's simply because they're not coming around to self-love. Somebody that lives for themselves, in terms of making their life better, improving their lot in life, improving how they feel about things, that comes down to self-love. And a lot of people are actually missing or lacking in total self-love.
Yeah. 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 So what's the way that you've improved your self-love then, in terms of, psychological exercises or things you've done?
It's a kind of slow, gradual process over years, and it's kind of becoming aware of negativity in yourself bit by bit, and kind of revealing layers, and it's kind of coming back to self-respect, and working on yourself as well. I mean, I do a lot of meditation, which when you go into meditation, you have to kind of dive into deeper parts of yourself that we sometimes like to avoid, like uncomfortable emotions, uncomfortable thoughts and feelings about certain situations. So actually wanting to dig into that and root it out and overcome it, that again comes back to self-love.
Yeah, I see what you mean. A lot of people just aren't willing. They don't want to confront all that, do they?
No, it's like if you're going to go for a transformation, if you take somebody and they haven't been training, they've let their health slip, they're in their mid-30s, early 40s, whatever, and they're just realizing that their health is seriously going in the wrong direction. Taking that person for a transformation, over whatever period of time, is going to involve them coming to a point where they really start living for themselves. If somebody's let their health get to a bad point, if they've let their energy levels drop, if they are putting shit into their body, they're not loving themselves.
Yeah.
And like, for example, very often we see people that kind of strive for success financially, and they're even sacrifice their health, and they get to a point and they think, shit, man, I've got this nice car, I've got this nice place to live, and I've got this, business career, whatever, but I look shit and I feel shit. Do you know what I mean? It's because they've gone for that outside thing to make themselves feel better. They've gone chasing for the thing outside of them. So what training and transforming your body does, it brings you back to the internal.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. So that's the crux of it. That's what it all boils down to, the self-love. Like, if you can get that sorted out, or at least work on it and improve
It's what it
it.
all comes down to, Ben. It's what it all comes
Yeah.
down to. You can give people the tools, the techniques, the motivation, the encouragement, and you can give them everything. But if they've got something deep down within them, some self-love issues, or self-respect, or anything along those lines, it doesn't matter what you give them. They're not going to follow through to the end.
Yeah, right.
It's like I once heard one of my mentors. He trains millionaires and billionaires. He's one of the highest in the industry in what he does. And he said the other day, what struck him once he moved up to that bracket of clientele was that every single one of them had a very huge, almost overinflated sense of deservability.
Right.
That's self-love.
Yeah.
If you really love yourself, you deserve perfect health. You deserve a great, loving, fulfilling relationship. You deserve great friends. You deserve not to be in poverty. You deserve to be living a fulfilling, constructive, productive life of contribution.
Yeah.
Everybody does, but not everybody loves themselves.
So the reason they've succeeded at such a high level in their career and their business is in part going to be because of their good self-image and their good relationship with themselves.
themselves. That's
And,
correct.
and your mate has noticed that when he's training with them, they've got a good quality view of themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And people I'll give you another example of fucked up beliefs, right? I had this friend, and she's a pretty intense feminist, right? And she sent me a message one day saying, Ben, oh, I fancy come to the gym with you, sort of do some sit-ups, try and work on my abs, whatever, this and that. And I was like, yeah, sure, no worries, just come along kind of thing, whatever. And then she was like, oh, actually, no, that's not very feminist of me, and is it? Because she's got all these conflicting beliefs that, like, if you go to the gym and work on yourself, then that's vanity, and then that's sort of playing
Yeah,
into it, and that's not feminine. And she got all these confused, mixed up,
yeah,
muddled up beliefs about what it means to be a woman, kind of thing. And I thought,
yeah,
Jesus Christ, what a
yeah.
catastrophe of beliefs.
Which is why it really helps to have a coach slash mentor to kind of make you aware of those aspects of yourself. I
Yeah,
mean, I have people around me that make me aware of, like you said, sometimes conflicting beliefs.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it is difficult to see it in yourself, isn't it? Because it's in your own blind spot. It's really
Yes.
important to have good quality friends that you can trust
Yeah.
to be honest with you and call you out on things, in it.
I mean, this is the thing. This is the nature of belief systems. If you think of a belief as a program, literally like a computer program that's running.
Yeah,
Now, whatever belief you have, it has several mechanisms. Negative beliefs, and I call negative not as in good or bad. I mean negative as in the truest sense that negative belief will keep you limited. A negative belief will keep you less than what you could be. A limited belief cuts you off from and separates you from things.
yeah,
So that's what I mean by negative. So negative beliefs actually automatically reinforce themselves through mental justification. So if somebody like this girl you're talking about has some negative beliefs, if you was to directly confront and question her negative beliefs, her mind would then automatically justify keeping those ways of thinking or
yeah,
running those programs.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And does that make sense? I mean, that's just one mechanism that beliefs have. Another mechanism is that they determine what you filter through your perception.
Right,
Now, bearing in mind that over 97% of all of our data coming into us at one moment in time is deleted
right,
and filtered through. So only 3% of any information around us can be into our conscious, come into our awareness.
right.
And that small percentage of what comes through is determined by what we believe.
Hmm.
If we believe that humans by nature are evil, wicked, bad, then that's what we're going to see. That's what's going to be filtered through by our subconscious mind because that program is running. If we believe that humans deep down their nature is to help one another, their nature is actually to move forward, then that's what we'll see because the program will allow us to notice those things to back up that belief.
Yeah,
So a belief is self-fulfilling and runs this program that keeps going by its very nature of existence.
yeah,
So until it's examined and questioned from a really, really objective point of view, it will just rationalize itself and you won't be able to break out of it. Just like Einstein said, you can't solve a problem on the current level of thinking upon which it was created.
yeah.
So nature's beliefs can be very sticky things by nature.
Yeah, because you'll always find the evidence to support whatever it is you believe, because there's abundant evidence all around for everything, isn't there? And
Absolutely, man. I mean, a good example is my own journey when I originally came off taking steroids nearly 10 years ago now. I had a little bit of difficulty actually believing I could achieve naturally, and could I look as good, and could I be just as big and ripped, and could I still improve my physique naturally? And I can remember feeling a bit crappy about it and thinking, I don't know if I can. And I went on the internet to try and look for natural bodybuilders, and all I found were these skinny people. And I started to feel a little bit disheartened because at the time that was it. Literally, it was like magical. That's all I could find on the internet based upon what I believed at the time. So then I spent a bit of time on my beliefs and then kind of contemplating the opposite. And then I did another search on the internet, and it was like the opposite. All of a sudden, I found these huge natural bodybuilders.
So you
And then
changed your perception. You worked on yourself, and
yeah,
then the world,
yeah.
what you were seeing, the evidence was different.
Yeah, because when you're caught up in a negative belief that's limiting, that's cutting you off from, that's making you less than, it's very hard to notice. Like I said, because you rationalise it, it might be something you've always had, so it's always that program's always been running. And just like if you're sat in a room and there's an air conditioning fan running and someone switches it off, you go, "Oh my God, I didn't even notice that humming fan was on,"
Mm.
because it had always been on. And it's not till it goes off that you notice it. And that's like negative beliefs. It's not till they go that you even realize that they were there.
Yeah, right. So everything we believe, like if we believe women moan, we'll
Yeah.
notice the evidence
Yeah.
that supports that.
That generalization will become our truth.
If we believe that we need steroids to get muscly, then we'll only
That
notice the
that will
evidence that will
become our
support
truth.
that, and we'll be
Yeah.
skeptical. Because I notice how skeptical people are about, like Mike O'Hearn being natural. I mean,
Natural.
I
Yeah.
got no idea. I don't know what he does or doesn't do. I got no idea. But I tend to. But he seems like an honest guy. I tend to believe what people say. I don't think he's lying. But I've noticed
Huh?
that guys have got this bias to be skeptical. But it's just because their beliefs, just because they don't believe it's possible, they
Yeah.
just can't believe it's possible to get that
Yeah.
big.
So what I did years ago, then I kind of changed how I believe, and I opened my mind and just played around with the possibility that I could get bigger naturally and look better naturally.
Mm.
And then from that position, lo and behold, magically, I found all these people that I'd never heard of before, these bodybuilders, past and present, that are absolutely amazing.
Mm.
And then I just looked at them, studied them, followed them, and that built up the belief in me then. And I knew that's where I needed to start with rebuilding my body naturally.
Yeah, right. Let's just go a little bit deeper and just stay on this steroid topic because it is a big topic for guys that are into bodybuilding. And I know you done a long interview with a guy, didn't you? So let's just dig into this a little bit. What would you say to people that are considering using steroids, or maybe they have been using steroids, and let's go.
Well, on that subject, I don't really judge anyone. I've got friends that take steroids, I've got friends that don't. And if somebody's built an amazing physique, if they've taken steroids or not, they've still put in way more work, way more effort, way more determination, way more intelligence into their training, eating, diet, rest, and nutrition than somebody anyway. So very often, if people come up to me and they kind of start asking about steroids, I start asking them about what they believe is possible. And I would say 9 times out of 10, if they're thinking about taking steroids, they have a real negative belief over what they can achieve naturally.
Mm.
So it depends on the person, where they are, but most of the time, people are too quick to want to take steroids because they think that's the answer. Because again, it links onto the belief that they see someone big, they see someone good, they hear they take steroids, and then they automatically believe you cannot look good without them.
Mm.
So if they're going to come from that perspective, I just say, look, mate, if you can't build muscle, if you can't get ripped, if you can't look better, if you can't train or get stronger, naturally, taking steroids is not going to be the answer for you.
Mm. Yeah.
Because I can guarantee you, the guys that are taking steroids that look amazing, that look good, yeah, they'd be a bit smaller when they come off the steroids, but they would still look really good. They would still train really well.
Yeah.
I mean, Dorian Yates is a great example of that. Dorian Yates, at the age of 50, he's been natural now for quite a long time. But where his physique is now naturally is amazing.
Mm.
Yeah, he's not. He's a good few stone off of the absolute monster he was when he was taking steroids, but he still looks absolutely amazing. Rock hard, low body fat, very muscular.
Mm.
He reckons that his strength is pretty much the same as where it's always been.
Mm. I remember saying to you, like, the best way. No, sorry, the other way around. I remember you saying to me that the best way to approach supplements, nutritional supplements, is to, if you're already getting good results just with basic training, you've got a good low level of body fat, good muscle definition, if you're doing well, then adding in the little nutritional tricks can just give you a little advantage and a bit of an edge and just get your physique, just to that next level. But if you're not already getting good results, if you haven't already got the discipline and the consistency and the attitude and the mindset to be looking good without them, then spending money on all those things is not. It's just a waste
I
of
see
money.
it very often. Yeah, I see it very, and again, it comes back to the belief. Oh, and people don't take steroids or don't think it's just a steroid. Then they start to go into this other world, full of amazingly clever marketing to make them believe that it's the supplement then that makes them big because Jay
Mm,
Cutler takes this protein powder and it's better because of this, blah 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 blah.
mm,
And it's absolutely true. I mean, it's supplements supplement the results you're getting, and trust me, what's around these days and what you can do and the different variety of ways you can use supplements makes a huge difference. But again, it's not going to make any difference if you're not already getting results. Just like steroids. I mean, steroids are nothing more than an advanced supplement, really.
mm. Yeah. I had this guy message me on Facebook and the first question he asked me is like, "What supplements, what things are you taking?" And the alarm bell went off in my mind straight
Yeah,
away. And I
yeah.
said, and the first thing I did was look on his profile and have a look at pictures of him. And I said, "Hang on a second, like how long have you been training? What's your body fat? What's going on? What shape are you in? What kind of thing?" Because already I can see that the guy thinks that there's some magic bullet, some silver bullet, some quick fix that if he takes these pills, he's going to suddenly
Yeah.
get in shape, and that's not the way to approach it, is it? That's a
No.
backwards.
I mean, that gives you a great idea as to where the person is with their beliefs
Mm.
straight away by what they're saying to you. It's like if someone comes up to me and go, "Oh, how much do you charge?" I know that they're not for me as a student
Mm.
because they're interested in getting something cheap. They're
Yeah,
not interested in results.
yeah, yeah.
And so if someone's coming up to you and the first thing is, "Oh, what supplements do you take and what you're taking?" then clearly they believe that's how you look good.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because yeah, a lot of people always ask about protein. It's the first thing. How much protein do you take? It's like, well, hold on a second. I go to the gym a lot as well. Is a major component of it. Like
Yeah,
you know.
it is funny. It is funny, but yeah, that gives you a good idea. So back onto mindset. Then, is there any more questions you've got on mindset?
Well, I was just going to ask you. I remember you telling me you work with there's certain types of clients you prefer, and you explained to me the reason why you prefer certain types of clients. Can you just tell us about that?
Yeah, as I've evolved and have kind of like improved my game, as it were, I attract and do have a particular type of client, and they all have similar things in common, and that is that they're already successful in other areas of their life.
Hmm.
And like I said, they've got the car, they've got the house, they've got the business, blah blah blah, blah, but they've realised that their health is now not up to scratch.
Yeah.
And it is a big difference when you get that type of person coming to you because they're much more eager to learn. It's easier to work on their beliefs because they've already achieved other things. They can understand the principles of mindset, of desire. They kind of get it more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. And I know this is nothing to do with it whatsoever, but I can kind of relate. When I used to teach guitar, there were certain types of students that were much more eager and much more keen and and hungry to learn. Like the little kids, I found a complete nightmare because the only reason they were there a lot of the time, they didn't really want to be there. It's just because their parents wanted to get rid of them for an hour just so that so they could go for a coffee or whatever and have a break. And the kid didn't really want to be there, they weren't really interested. But then you get the teenagers, and all of a sudden, when they get to adolescent age, and puberty, and their hormones and their egos involved with it, and they want to get good on guitar to impress the girls, and all of a sudden you got their attention, and they're practicing, and they're very focused, and very noticeable difference. And also like older students, like older men who were kind of, they got a family, they got a career, but they just want a way to relax or something. And they had a whole different attitude towards learning as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It's almost
I
like
mean,
yeah.
looking what you said there about the students that were really, really keen and really, really eager,
Mm,
they had linked it to other motivators and values that they already have,
yeah.
i.e., looking good for chicks and pulling women.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what I used?
And
Yeah. Go on. Go on.
so now you can kind of see why those clients that kind of linked that automatically then had much more desire to learn
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so it's the same. That same principle works with anything.
for training.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've got a girlfriend now, but about a year ago, there was this girl I really fancied, and I used this principle as well with my weightlifting. Like right before I was about to do a really heavy lift, like a 3 rep type of thing, I would just imagine that if I lifted the weight successfully, she'd be really impressed, right?
Wow,
And that was
wow,
how
yeah,
I
yeah,
psyched myself up.
yeah, yeah, man. There's so many different techniques. There's so many different mental, emotional techniques that you can do and things you can do with yourself to change your state and to practice new states of being. There's loads of them, and I go through different ones with students, and over time you get to find out which ones they prefer, etc. But yeah, there's loads of that's a really good way of motivating yourself and conditioning yourself.
Yeah, because if you can learn how to drive your own mind, and if you can learn how
Yeah.
to whatever trick works for you, then you can get better results at yourself, can't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And this is why training is such a great metaphor. Changing your body is like a metaphor for the rest of your life because you're learning to master your state, which basically means you're learning to master your emotions. You're
Mm,
learning how to focus. You're learning how to kind of become aware of your own negativity.
mm,
You're learning discipline.
yeah,
And it's like you're mastering yourself. When you start to master your body and your health, you're mastering yourself.
yeah. Let's imagine there's somebody listening who just wants to get a bit in shape, lose some body fat. They don't want to be a bodybuilder, a powerlifter. It's just like a normal person wants to get some body fat off. So, what's Jada's top tips for them?
Um, uh, just an average person that just wants to get started.
Yeah, just get trim, get toned. Yeah,
Um, well, the it for me it's an all or nothing process,
right.
and everybody's at different stages along the way. So it all depends on who they are and where they are as a person and where they are with their health. Anyway, do you know what I mean? That's not a generic answer I can really give.
Okay, I see. So, what resources? Let's talk about what you've got to offer then. So, you've got a website with, like you've got some audio stuff and some ebooks and things. What's available?
Yeah, I mean, currently at the moment, my website's going to be going through an evolution, but at the moment, there's a lot of free material on there, and stuff to help people get started. I'm building up a nice members list as well, so if people do subscribe, then they'll get notified of any new material that goes on there. There's also a page that is purely for audio, so there's a self hypnosis CD on there
Right.
for training and to help you sleep. There is some mindset audio on there. If you go to my website and go to how to get the mindset of transforming your body and open the tab videos and audio, you'll see them all on there. And like I said, if you go to the site, then do subscribe as well.
Yeah, and you can do consultations with people and help people over the phone or over Skype or something if they want
Yeah, yeah,
some
but
coaching.
because changing your body really is a mental emotional game. There is a lot. People do get good results even just having Skype coaching sessions with me.
Yeah, okay. So the best way to get in touch with you is email or what?
Yeah, if you want to contact me by email, then it's jada@jadacastellari.com, or contact me via my website jadacastellari.com.
Yeah, and you're based in Weston-super-Mare, so if anybody wants personal training with you.
Yeah, yeah. Currently, I train clients at Sweat FA in Weston-super-Mare, so that's where I'm located right now at this moment in time.
And what's on your reading list at the moment? What stuff are you learning, or what's on your mind? What's got your attention at the moment?
At the moment, I've got about 3 different books I'm reading. One on the psychology of money and wealth. Another one is Ageless Body, Timeless Mind, which is about written by a very scientific author about what makes people stay young,
Hmm.
etc. So yeah, and all kinds of bits and bobs. I tend to just browse through books these days, as and when I feel like it.
Yeah. I tell you what I really like, Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief. I found that really
Yeah, I
interesting.
recommend that one to a lot of clients and students because it helps build the belief in that they're not at the mercy of their genes so much, and they're not at the mercy of their body. And
Yeah.
what it does, it gives them a more empowering, more positive belief that they have a lot more control over their body than they've been programmed to believe.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's an excellent read. Recommend that one.
Yeah, most people under it. Yeah, it really emphasizes the importance of beliefs and the literal physical impact it has on your cells and your biology.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
not just as a concept, but literally impacting the cell biology. Really
Yeah,
interesting.
I mean, you see this phenomenon with belief and minds over the body with people that have injuries, and people that have injuries that always talk about their injuries and then identify with their injuries. It's like they're getting something from their injuries. They're
Mm,
getting some attention. They're getting some sympathy on an unconscious level, or it's helping fulfill some other prophecy about themselves, and they never really get over their injuries, or if they do, they then get another one.
mm.
And versus people that might get a little bit of a niggle, a little bit of injury, and they don't talk about it, and in their own mind they just tell themselves it's going to get better. They do what they need to do to fix it, and then they get on with it, and it heals itself.
Yeah, yeah. And what's
And
your
there's completely different beliefs
yeah, yeah.
creating two different outcomes.
What's your goals for the next couple of years then? What you doing?
I just want to improve and kind of like really go to town with students I've got and up and coming students. I want to be doing another bodybuilding show next year as well,
Oh,
another natural bodybuilding show. And even though my physique is at a standard where most people would be more than happy, I kind of feel like I want to really go to town on my own body and kind of take it to the next level too.
mm.
Which means doing all of this values, mindset, motivation stuff on myself, which is what part of the bodybuilding show will incorporate.
What do you mean it will incorporate it?
Well, to get to where I want to with the bodybuilding show, I'm going to have to increase my motivators. So rather than just turning up slightly improved from last year, if I want to turn up significantly improved, then I'm going to have to kind of like pay attention to my motivators, work on my beliefs, and just really, really go to town on myself.
Right, so increase the desire and the belief in yourself.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Wow, I'm gonna go and do the same. I mean,
Good.
I don't mean I'm gonna enter a show, but I'm gonna work on my beliefs and desires.
Yeah, cool. Do you have any more questions then?
Not no, I don't think so. I kind of unless there's
I
anything
mean, it'd be
specific.
interesting. Sorry, it'd be interesting. Anyone that is listening to this to kind of comment if they do have any questions.
Hmm. Yeah. They can put it because we're gonna post it. I'll put it on. It'll be on our websites and it'll be on YouTube, so people can comment or put it on Facebook or anywhere really.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man.
Yeah. So is there any final comments, or is that have we concluded it? Do you think?
I think for now that'd be fine, man.
Yeah. Excellent. All right then, Jada. That's really good. Really interesting.
Cool, brilliant,
Oh,
brilliant, brilliant. Good, 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 good.